Greetings, nerds, CNN nerd. I'm your host, Sarah Belmont, and with me, as always, is our Mr. Producer, Will Polk. How are you doing tonight, Will?
I'm doing very well, Sarah. How are you doing this evening?
Doing fine. I had some unexpected visitors about an hour before this.
Well,
but because we took 15 minutes with the pre-show, I think that it's going to be an interesting night.
Yeah, well, we're warmed up now. Hopefully, the energy will carry forward, especially given the topic that we were discussing. Got our collective brains moving and flowing. So
yeah,
yeah,
and I love when I have fuel to just make fun of the DCEU and as put poetically by Marc Bernardin on Fatman on Batman, their most recent episode, there was a fan cast of Eobard Thawne in the new Flash movie. And in my world, Will, this will actually happen, and Antony Starr, Homelander himself, will play that part.
I am 100% on board with that casting. And it's because, as we were discussing during the pre-show, of course, Tom Cavanaugh has become the signature actor for capturing Eobard Thawne, and of course Matt Lester as well with his portrayal in both the Flash whenever we saw the real face of Thawne, but also when we saw him on Legends of Tomorrow as well. Mm-hmm. So, Thawne's definitely a character that's been out there for quite a bit. And of course, comic book fans know he is, he's the Joker to the Flash. He's that type of level of villain for the Flash. So, one of the things you noted very well, is this need to be adored and loved, and that really gets touched on in the comic book that we were discussing before the show, and we see those kind of parallels in The Boys with Homelander. Yeah, that I thought you made a great point, but and quite frankly, Antony Starr could really bring that pathos and energy to the role. That again, I think that's a brilliant idea by Bernardin. And if you're listening to DCEU, you're looking for your Thawne, make sure your folks call Antony Starr's agent.
Yeah. I mean, the hard part is he is Homelander right now, and he will be for at least 3 more years. Granted, we'll probably not get the Flash movie for another 5 years. So.
Yeah, exactly. Even though Black Adam actually has some casting news this week, but they don't even have a date yet. So
what's their cast? Oh yeah, that one girl got cast.
Yeah, that one girl. Yeah.
I don't know her name. I don't.
I remember the casting news. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say that it was funny preparing for this show this week because there was some serious confrontation about not having it because there wasn't that many news items. And I think that overall, retrospectively, there were a lot of news items. However, because we live in a world of COVID and everything is delayed in the movie theaters, AMC running out of money, probably by early 2021, these announcements, they come off as jokes.
Yeah, they really do, because I was just looking at some of the things from Deadline today, and there's these various projects, like for example, Bill Clinton had a President's Missing project that he was going to do it for Netflix, and because of that, of COVID, it got canceled. And we've seen I'm Not Okay With This get canceled because of COVID, and other projects that are in planning stages get canceled. Shows that are in production getting canceled because they just can't film. And so COVID is just continuing to just mess up so many aspects of our lives, from just the day-to-day things that we do to our entertainment, to you name it. So
yeah, it's just it is the longer this goes on, the more the entertainment industry suffers, and there's a lot of uncertainty. There's for not only going to the movies, but just movies, TV shows in
Hmm.
general, because as we all know, they first have to be shot
Right,
before they
right.
can ever be delivered, and there's a lot of jobs involved in that. It really, and seeing the side effects of COVID, I mean, at first glance, you think, oh, yeah, the actors who are paid millions of dollars to do these things are put out of work for a few months, but they have savings. But the reality is, it goes beyond that. We're talking about the crew
Hmm.
and the people who are on the set, the PAs, who
Yep.
they live paycheck to paycheck and
Yeah.
show to show. And so it there are so many jobs being put on the line, and
Yeah.
much less the movie theaters, with Regal Cinemas announcing their layoffs as they temporarily shut down everyone. I think it's around 40,000 jobs.
Yeah. I think that sounds right. Yeah.
So it is a gigantic industry that is put in significant peril.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say like that it's less or more than others, because everyone is suffering through all of this uncertainty.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. And it really is changing how production companies and studios are even looking at m- the model moving forward. I mean, when you look at the news this week with Disney, for example,
Hmm.
where they, consolidating divisions and really and just freely admitted that they're going to now start focusing more of their efforts on some of their streaming platforms. Instead of trying to get things for the big movie theaters. So, again, and it's the ripple effects of these things. And before we started recording, I just saw where Warner Brothers and Universal was like, no, we're not going to do buyouts or to support movie theaters either. So, I mean, it's
Hmm.
they're still holding. Some of the studios are still holding on to hope that some things can really be, that the theater going experience can continue once we, get to a place where people, one, we have a vaccine, two, when people feel comfortable going to theaters again. Because yeah, I'll just saw polling data here in my state, here in North Carolina, where people are still very, even though we reopen theaters, people are still very leery about going at this juncture.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think they still will be, even after whatever this is because when I mean, we're creatures of routine.
Hmm.
And at some point, the routine was we go to the movies, we see these big tentpole films, and there's an experience, a shared experience about it. Yet we've survived 7 months without that, and we've developed new routines, found new sources of entertainment and new content. And when you say that Disney is consolidating their divisions to focus more on streaming, all I hear is Black Widow sooner as opposed to later.
Yeah.
That's all I hear. All I hear is, oh, they're gonna do it. Kevin Feige, just pull
Yeah.
the trigger on that,
Yeah.
because it's like game over.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much.
Whi- which which is funny because later on we have been watching some things, and it's interesting in just looking at what both between the two of us have been watching. It's predominantly HBO Max. And so I think that Disney is also noticing this other streaming platform with this quality of content that, yeah, Disney has a lot of nostalgia. They have the MCU, they have their animated features and all of that, but they are targeted towards children, like their content. And so now they're seeing this HBO Max just take off, and as they're known for more adult content. So I think that that's another reason why they made that announcement this week.
Yeah, you're totally right. You're totally right. And, and get into your point about the theater experience and communal uh, aspects of it. And and I was thinking Black Widow. I couldn't help but think about Wonder Woman, and how Patty Jenkins was really hoping that they will stick to the Christmas Day release so that they can, so we can, because it the idea would be that it's a lifeline and it's a shot in the arm around the holidays for the theater industry and the larger entertainment industry as well to actually get a big film out in 2020.
Hey, yeah. And then what do they do? She makes that statement and they turn around and sign her on to make the new Cleopatra film with
Yeah.
her leading lady, Gal Gadot. Um, why give her another film? She's refusing to let us the film already made. I just want to see it.
Yeah, just
um,
yeah.
I I don't know if Wonder Woman 1984 is the film to really bring people back for whatever reason. Um, I think if I had to choose, if between seeing Black Widow on screens or seeing Wonder Woman, I'd probably go with Black Widow.
Mm.
I mean, just be and even then, I'm just like release it on streaming. These movies at this point in time, I see the CGI.
Yeah.
I see it. Okay, I can watch it on my TV screen. I don't know where I'm going with this point, but I
Yeah.
yeah, I think you better have a plan B. There we
Yeah.
go. You
Yeah.
better release it, and when you notice the numbers are not there, get the heck on streaming
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. And actually, I think if I recall, one of the I think some of the deals that Universal Studios and AMC actually made was that they would actually allow for films to get released for about 17 days or so, and then quickly, just so they could get that theatrical run, and then allow it, shorten the time that it will take it to get to streaming platforms and stuff. So so they studios and the theater industries already are adjusting to this new environment. So
Theoretically.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, they keep releasing stuff like, as we were saying, Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot announcing that they won the bidding rights to film a new Cleopatra film at some point.
We don't need, but yeah.
Yeah. Or so
I
are you a stickler for the Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor version?
I don't think I've seen it. I honestly don't. I Troy, didn't the movie Troy have something to do with Cleopatra? Or
I
am I
just
thinking about something else?
I think you're thinking about something else. Because
Who
yeah,
was
yeah. I mean, of course, Elizabeth Taylor. I mean, when I think of Cleopatra, only clearly, at least in entertainment context, I automatically go to that film.
Oh,
Uh,
I'm so glad you brought this up because clearly we don't know what we're talking about. So I'm trying to move on. I'm like, that wasn't it. But now I'm stuck. Oh, that was Helen of Troy.
yeah, yeah,
Helen of Troy. Yeah. Okay, guys, it's been a long week.
yeah,
And we are trying to basically vamp about topics that we view as jokes. So,
yeah.
one thing that isn't a joke that did get released this week is the Batman set images, which will, yes. If the Batman was releasing this year on Christmas Day, yeah,
Yeah, my ass
I
would be
think
there.
people would go see it. I really think that movie can be the kick that the theaters need.
Yeah, yeah. I was talking about last week where I saw where AMC theaters you could rent out a theater for $100.
Mhm.
I would probably do that for this movie.
Yeah, because you don't want the noise, you don't want the people, you just want to enjoy the experience on the big screen, all of the action, the images, and I'm not seeking out content about the Batman. I'm already sold.
Yeah,
I am sold to probably go repeated viewings. Um, unless it sucks, which it could, but I don't think it will. The images I did see on Twitter, though, they're fine. They're set images. Very cool things that people are noticing, the details that are being incorporated into this movie. We saw a lot of Catwoman. We saw more Penguin, which again, every time I see an image of Penguin, I think to myself, that is not Colin Farrell. But it is. But it's so not. It's so weird.
It is. It really is.
But yeah, I mean, I think the other week when we were talking about it being closed, shut down because our Pats got COVID, it was like this black cloud. But now seeing these images, it's like, no, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna release it in theaters. This will happen. So it kind of is hopeful.
Yeah, definitely gave us all hope to see that this film is back in production, and hopefully they can continue it. And because already a quarter of it has already been shot, so hopefully they can continue the rest of the production and do so safely, and then they can get the post production.
Yeah, but put a lid on it, guys. I mean, again, we got until March 2022. God damn it.
Yeah.
So we don't need to know every little thing that's going to happen, okay? We got another movie that we don't need, Mad Max spinoff for Furiosa.
Yep.
With Anna Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth.
Yep, and Yahya Abdul-Mateen has also been cast. And here's the interesting thing about this: so they did the casting, but the film itself hasn't even been greenlit yet. So they're putting the cart before the horse. We're getting the actors, but we haven't officially got the official word that we're going to move forward with this film. But George Miller's doing it, like he did the reboot with Mad Max a few years ago with Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy, which I still haven't watched it in its entirety. But I enjoyed the original Mad Max trilogy with Mel Gibson, and even though Mel's, well, we won't get about Mel right now, but yeah, I saw this, and it was one of those items that I was like, okay, I'm looking for content to talk about this week. It wasn't one that I was super excited about, and then when I saw that it was not even officially greenlit, again, it's just sort of like, well, deadline, and everyone is doing this in the same boat that we're in, trying to get people to talk about something.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was not greenlit. So this project will fail. All right.
Yeah, probably. Or again, they, I think they're trying to get the folks committed so they can at least get on their schedule. So that once it finally does, and it probably will get greenlit, they'll at least have them locked in so they don't have to work around some other film.
Right. But the thing is, it's interesting casting because Chris Hemsworth, God love him. We all love Chris Hemsworth. But let's really think about this. What movie other than Thor or the Avengers has he been in that he has led that has been a success?
Does Netflix count?
No.
Okay.
What movie was he in on Netflix?
Remember he had that action adventure?
That wasn't a success. I think that has been other like B-rated, B-level action films released on Netflix that I think got more discussed than that one. I think even one starring Charlize Theron herself. I'm blanking on the name tonight because I can't remember a damn thing right now.
That's okay.
But I think again it's interesting casting because I don't think he has the best track record as much as America loves Chris Hemsworth. For whatever reason, we just don't go see his movies. And I think Anna Taylor-Joy is very similar, where she made a name for herself with the Split movie, but ever since then, I mean, she was just in New Mutants, and we saw how well that worked out.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, she's stepping into the shoes of Charlize Theron's character. So she will be the lead for this. So, um, yeah, and Hemsworth and Mateen, they haven't announced who they're playing in this film. So again, I think it's just, as I said, locking them in so they can get it on their schedule, and then we'll just sort of see where it goes from there.
Yeah. Weird age difference too.
Mhm.
If he's going to be a love interest, just putting that out there. Regina King produced a new supernatural drama for the CW called Slay. Can we just change her name to Regina Queen?
Exactly. Exactly.
Can we? Like, I know we have Queen Bee, but can we change it to Queen R? It doesn't sound as cool. This woman is just having the time of her life. I think if anyone would consider 2020 to be a winning year, it's Regina.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. This project really sounds pretty cool too. It's she's behind the production, and I guess it's going to be set in the historic triangle of Virginia, where it is, and so that's like Jamestown, Colonial Williamsburg, and Yorktown. And so this area is a supernatural drama. And so the lead character is a teenager who's got this kind of 70s vibe with her, as far as like Afro puffs, and she named Carol Jones. And so she's going to be, it's like it's going to basically protect this area from some of the supernatural forces that are going on in that area. So it sounds pretty interesting. Looking forward to it once it gets produced.
Yeah, yeah, and from one CW runner of a supernatural drama to another one. I did not listen to this, but I have a feeling that you did, Will. But Eric Kripke led a Q&A following The Boys season finale.
Yeah, it was Sunday night. I just actually just stumbled upon it when I was just flowing through board, going through Twitter, and it was like about an hour. I guess he went over for about an hour of just answering fan cute questions, and so clarifying some things from season 2 as far as whether or not Stormfront was killed, and of course he confirms that as they said in the finale, she's in a undisclosed location, and he's officially dubbed her little stump front. There was also discussion about Black Noir, whether or not he survives, and if he does. Some other just general questions about Soldier Boy and Homelander, and whether or not they are going to. I guess in the comic book, Homelander and Soldier Boy had a sexual relationship, and
Oh my God, I was just gonna say, were they butt buddies?
they were.
Not
Very
surprised. Not surprised.
Yeah, So Kripke said that they're not going to integrate that aspect of their story into season 3, but he did say that there is going to be a hero-gasm, which and it sounds like this hero-gasm is a lot like Sex Patrol from Doom Patrol, as far as a big party where.
Oh, okay. I was like, where are you going with this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're not going to get Brokeback Homelander, but we will get.
Got it.
Yeah, we will get the hero-gasm. Yeah.
Just delivering all of the answers that the people want to know.
Yeah.
The Boys, I especially after listening to Marc and Kevin earlier today talk about The Boys season finale, I just continue to think about Homelander and the moment when he makes the decision to let everyone go, including his son, and I mean, god damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hate him. He is despicable. But he's also the writers did such a good job to make sure you understood and you bought in. He is a father too. And to do that, it's just I love it so
Yeah,
much.
it. I might have to. I probably will do a rewatch of this past season because it was. I feel like, you know, as we were talking before, I'm glad that they did it over the course of 8 weeks instead of
Mhm.
dropping them all at once. But I still feel like there's just so much that could be, you know, mined from this season that I missed the first watch. And so, yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna try to fit that in.
Yeah, and speaking about Stormfront, I would just say, kid, you should have gone for the head.
Yeah,
You get it? You get it? Avengers, I got it. Okay.
got it.
She did look a lot like Thanos by the end of it. She was pretty burnt up.
Yeah, she was pretty toasty.
um, what else you got on here? Anthony Daniels, Kelly Marie Tran, and Billy D. Williams will return for a Lego Star Wars holiday special
Yeah.
because that's how desperate the world is right now.
Well, I figured it was like when I saw that one today, and I was just like, huh, you know, not the world already has one Star Wars holiday special that and that one should just be enough. But they are bringing this one out this year, and it will be animated, Lego style, and uh, yeah, another thing I was kind of joking. I was like, are they trying to make nice to? I don't know if this is the best way to make nice to Kelly Marie Tran.
I know. I was like, why is she doing that? But I think people just want to work right now. So
Yeah.
hats off to you. Sci-fi classic character, classic, but Sarah has no idea what I'm who this person is.
Oh
Buck
wow.
Rogers coming back to the big screen and more after Legendary Pictures has acquired the rights to this IP that I don't what is this a reference to?
Yeah. So Buck Rogers. So yeah, this is a little before. Probably you've probably seen this show on like uh, late night TV or cable somewhere. Sci-Fi Channel or something like that. So, well, Buck Rogers has been around since like the 30s, and uh, he he so you've probably seen like
No.
spinoffs from him, like Flash Gordon and other pulp sci-fi characters. So
Well, I
basically,
know Flash Gordon, but
yeah, yeah,
what I've never heard of Buck Rogers.
so Buck Rogers, he was he was he had a rip. Basically, it's like a Rip Van Winkle for sci-fi. So in the original story back in the day, he was um, he was trapped in a coal mine for 500 years and then emerges in the 25th century. There was a television show in the late 70s uh, that aired for a couple seasons, and where instead now it was brought up to almost present day. He was an astronaut who left Earth in 1987 and um, was trapped in suspended animation for 500 years and then woken up by uh, an empire, the Draconian Empire, which is the adversaries for the Earth in the 25th century. So that's the character. You'll probably when you see it, you'll be like, oh yeah. When you see a picture of it, you'll be like, oh yeah, I've seen this somewhere. But that's
No,
essentially the
no.
character. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. It was also, yeah. So just like Battlestar Galactica was like remade in the early 2000s, Buck Rogers has been been tied up in legal battles and stuff. So that's why they weren't able to do a revival until now because all the legal issues have been resolved and Legendary Pictures acquired the rights to the characters. So now, yeah, they're planning on building a whole franchise around it.
Yeah, right in time for COVID and
Yeah,
all of this
exactly,
uncertainty, but perfect
exactly.
timing, guys.
Yeah,
Perfect timing to settle your differences.
yeah.
The last bit of news that we do have is this one killed me when I saw it on the rundown because I saw this tweet. I didn't think anything of it. I certainly didn't think we were going to talk about it, but whatever. Stephen Amell tweeted out. This is why you never say never. Shortly following the announcement that Dexter will return for a limited 10-episode run on Showtime, and it will star Michael C. Hall.
Mhm.
I have never watched Dexter, not a
Me
single
neither.
episode.
Me
I
neither.
completely missed it.
Yep.
I know all about how it has arguably one of the most notorious um, bad season finales or series
Mhm.
finales
Yep.
ever.
Yep.
I think the whole last season people think is complete garbage. Most shows end like that. Um,
Yeah.
Steven. Um,
We
we
haven't
all
talked.
listen to your interviews. There are some other reasons why you never say, you always say no. Move on. And
Yeah.
Steven, please, you should be saying, this is why you say never to CW again, but you tell HBO Max, hell yes. Hell yes.
Yep. Which I guess the show is. I think it's in production, if I recall. I
Yep.
think. Yeah. Yeah. I saw because I remember seeing the scene of training and getting ready for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think it's being shot in Atlanta, if I recall.
Okay. I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly, but that sounds about right. He's had an interesting year. I'm gonna close this chapter and then announce I'm prepared for a new one, and then COVID strikes because I think they were right about to go into full production when it hit.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I think they've started again and moving forward and still running his mouth on Twitter
Yep.
like a good old Canadian. But I'll I'll always have a soft spot for him
And,
because
yep. And that's
he is Oliver Queen.
he is Oliver Queen, and I know how much you love Arrow and how much we love talking about Steven. So when I saw that, I was just like, I gotta put that on here tonight.
No, he really didn't, but he chose to.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It was my way of just giving you grief, like you always do for me with the Flash. So
Okay, first of all, if listeners can back me up on this, please. Will has completely converted to the dark side on Flash Smack Talk. You throw more shade than I do. I tend to throw my shade at DCEU.
well, there's no dispute about that. But I will admit there have been some moments that I have been critical. I will admit that, but I still love the show.
Called Season 6A. Season 6A.
Yep.
Every time I think
And
about
season
that,
5. Yep.
I always think about the zombie episode that occurred where
Yeah.
they were basically running around, and I don't even know if I finished that episode, Will. I really don't, but I do remember
Yeah.
talking about it, and you also were very upset.
Yes. Yes. I was.
Let's talk about some shows that
Yeah.
I'm actually not upset about. I've done a complete deep dive into HBO Max. It took me a while, guys. It took me a while,
Yeah.
but um I watched Anna Kendrick's Love Life. I binged that in a day. It's delightful. Very, very much if you have ever been a fan of the series Girls on HBO, this is right up your alley, as is basically any romantic comedy about a girl who's trying to find love in the city. It's great. Really interesting characters and story development. Um, I this weekend I actually did it, Will.
Oh, you got
I
it.
sucked it up. I'm on episode 6 of
Huh.
Lovecraft Country.
Okay.
Episode 6. I'm not all the way caught up,
Okay.
but after talking to my brother, who my brother loves this show, I pushed through, and for whatever reason, I don't. The first 3 episodes were hard. I didn't really pay attention.
Mhm.
But the 4th episode and the 5th episode, I really like the 5th episode
Huh.
because the 5th episode, they 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 do a body switch. There's magic. This is Lovecraft Country. There's a lot of supernatural elements happening on this show. But it's all played against the backdrop of Chicago and segregation. And they do a metamorphosis, if you will, of a character who is Black and then is given the opportunity to experience being a white person. And just the way that they examine through both of those lenses the racism that exists, and the because this is still a woman transferring, only making a change to the color of her skin, so she's still a woman regardless. But that episode killed me. And I'm finally at the episode where Lovecraft, I feel like when episode 6 dropped, my timeline just blew up. I haven't watched it yet, but it is a hard, in my opinion, it was hard for me to get into the show because it does genre bending to the extreme. Almost to the point where I will argue some of it is a bit cheesy. However, I do see the advantage of how this is a very it's everyone talks about how it's anthology, but it's not anthology. There's these tales that occur within each episode where they're clearly pulling from a Lovecraft novel and inserting into this larger conversation about in the 60s and segregation and everything that occurred. So it's just, I don't know. I think if you stick long with it, eventually you'll find an episode where you'd be like, okay, I get it now.
Okay.
And I think that will change with everyone. Some people may go into it. I think my brother really liked the 3rd episode. The 2nd episode has a damn good ending. Okay. But yeah, this was my worst mini review I've ever given because it is a very hard story to explain without ruining anything.
I understand. Yeah. No, I appreciate it because I'm still, as I've told you, this is one that is on my watch list, and I'm hopeful to get to it. So, but you've said enough now, and that I am sufficiently. I think you've pushed me over the edge. I will definitely start this, especially your description of the 5th episode. I think that will definitely, like, I'm like, color me intrigued when you were talking about that. So
yeah, it took me aback, and I was like, wait a second, they're doing this. All this is fascinating. I was all in. I was totally sucked into that episode. And it's also weird to watch it knowing that Jonathan Majors, who plays Tick, the main character, was announced as being cast as King the Conqueror.
Yeah.
Because he is not that character on the show. Very much not. So it's very strange.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like he hasn't even like portrayed the character yet, but we already like, it's like you can't quite see him as the next role they've been cast in, but I'm sure he'll do a phenomenal job when he does.
Oh, he's a pretty good actor.
Yeah.
And I say pretty good because he's the straight man in the series.
Okay.
So, and which I think we often, when we look at series, it's very rarely do we latch on to the main character because they have to be the quote unquote normal, while everyone else around them is crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
The intriguing characters that they bounce off of.
Right.
Um, but there are a few moments, I guess. It's just I think it's bizarre. He is still such a newcomer to know that he is this lead, this classic hero character to also then be announced at this as cast as this huge villain in
Yeah,
the MCU. That's just okay.
yeah.
He will not be pigeonholed.
He will not be. He will definitely not be.
Another show that I've been watching that I really have fallen in love with, and I'm not gonna. I could do probably an hour seminar about why this show just is very haunting. Um, we are who we are. This show is not for everyone. Very much like Euphoria was not for everyone. Now, you will be lucky to know that you are actually allowed to watch this show.
Oh, thank you.
Um, it will break your heart, though.
Mm, okay, I don't know. Okay. Well, damn.
I don't know if it'll break your heart, but I would love to hear your thoughts on it, to get your perspective.
Okay.
Um, this show is just I there's so many things I could say about it, but in talking with my other people who have not seen it, I will say that what I have noticed is that this show is about gender identity and two kids who find themselves on the same military base in Italy, realize that one is currently a boy and a girl, and realize that they're both experimenting with this other side of themselves, and so there's a connection, there's a pure friendship, and then how that translates into a bigger conversation about how America views families and what is quote unquote normal.
Huh.
Because both of these kids, one is a black girl, and her parents are black, and but also come from different perspectives because her dad is in the military.
Huh.
Very, you might actually hate her dad because he is clearly a Trump supporter.
Uh,
Um, but her mom is from I think Uganda. I'm not sure,
okay.
but also has some issues because has had to sacrifice so much for her dad because her dad is very conventional.
Huh.
And there's all of these little dynamics contrasted with the boy who is white but is raised by two lesbians.
Huh.
Both of them are in the military. And we learn this fascinating thing about how he is the biological son of one of them and
Okay.
what that means in terms of their relationship because they have also fallen into these stereotypical roles of where, well, if you have two women or two men, one is clearly taking the place of the mom and one's the father and all of that. And so this show very subtly allows you to see these ideas, these traditional family values and ideas about motherhood and fatherhood, but in very unique circumstances, like in a very unconventional way.
Huh.
And the contrast, it astounds me.
Yeah, it sounds fascinating. Fascinating. When I saw this on the rundown, I did uh, just do a quick search to see what it was, just to see what it was about, and it definitely was like, huh. I was looking forward to hearing your description of it from after you've watched it because I didn't really get that from the just from the overview and from Google. So
No, it surprised me because it is a very slow show. It takes a while. There's a lot of dicks. There's a lot of nudity.
mm,
Um, I think the third episode just skips third episode doesn't matter. No, and I say it because it's just a stupid one-off episode that pisses me off, because I'm like, what the heck is this? And the other night they finally got back to the main story, and I'm like, thank God.
Okay.
But
This is sort of like sounds like when we were talking about Run.
yeah. I think it's still finding its legs, but there is just these moments that happen in every episode. And specifically with Caitlin's father, who I think is the reason why I'm latching on, because you know this, and I think listeners know this. I'm very close to my dad, and seeing how their relationship, because of the secret she holds and his fear for her, and recognition that the girl he raised, he's losing, and trying to grasp onto that. There's just so many things. So I could go on for hours.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
could break down so many scenes that I'm like replaying in my mind right now, because that's another thing about this show. This show's cinematography and direction is like cinematic level.
Wow.
It's very on par with Watchmen and other shows from HBO that are just like Succession.
Yeah.
It's beautiful to watch.
Wow. Well, that's high praise. So I got to figure out the workaround for to get HBO Max. It's on my Fire Stick or on my Samsung TV here, because that's the only thing that's keeping me pulling me back right now.
Yeah, and I don't know anymore, but I did notice that you've been watching The Right Stuff on Disney Plus.
Yeah. So this is on Disney Plus. It's one of their shows they're doing in partnership with National Geographic. And so far there's only been 2 episodes. It just premiered a couple weeks ago, as a matter of fact. And so it chronicles the exploits of the Mercury 7 astronauts, who were the first American astronauts in the space program. So cinephiles will probably know there's the film The Right Stuff that was done years ago. It had Sam Shepard as Chuck Yeager, and Ed Harris played John Glenn, and Dennis Quaid was in it as Gordo Cooper. Scott Glenn was Alan Shepard, and it was a Phil Kaufman film, very glorious, very rah pro space program, pro America. It really captured, it was a very grand film. And so this is a new show that is on Disney Plus, and I'm really enjoying it. Because I love the film The Right Stuff. It's on my like top 10 list of like favorite films. If it's on, or if I'm
Wow.
if I'm feeling like, I just, it's one of those, hey, you have some movies you just like to rewatch over and over.
Yeah.
This is one of them. I mean, it's for me. And so, so I was very intrigued when I saw, I think it was either Comic-Con was when I saw the news that they were doing this year. And what I like about the film is not up there with the film. I will go ahead and say that right now. At least in the first 2 episodes, it's not. However, it's I like the way they are retelling this story, as far as how these gentlemen were selected, how this impacted their families. Because I feel like I will say that this version is doing a better job so far of showing how their lives got turned upside down when they became America's superheroes, and especially early on, when they hadn't even gone up into space. I mean, rockets were still blowing up on the launching pad, whenever these astronauts were selected. So it's doing a good job of that. The film did a good piece of it as well. The other thing that I noticed so far is how they are just like the film. They are focusing on several key characters. So, the film's really focused on Alan Shepard, John Glenn, Gordo Cooper. Then this TV show so far is doing the same.
Hmm.
But what's interesting is um, Patrick
Patrick Adams.
Adams is doing John Glenn,
Yep.
and his, Ed Harris's portrayal still's better. Patrick Adams does capture Glenn's, the one thing that they do capture is Glenn's is a natural showman, and he was really the media savvy astronaut in the Corps. And so they really do a good job of showing that and giving new examples in this new version as far as how Glenn was able to leverage his already celebrity to help his teammates as far as the Mercury 7.
Mhm.
What's interesting is how they're treating Shepard and Cooper versus the film, because one of the things I was wondering, how adult were they going to be as far as Disney Plus, and they, for Disney Plus, it's it's TV 14, so it's um they do touch on infidelity and Alan, and there was rumors of Shepard. The TV show definitely gets more into that than say the film does. The film kind of alludes to it, whereas this one really gets into it a lot deeper.
Yeah, that's
And
what the trailer showed.
yeah, um, the film touched on it some, but not, but it was kind of implied. But this one definitely, especially a notable scene between John Glenn and Alan Shepard when they were in training. Uh, Gordo Cooper is Dennis Quaid, just uh, really, and that really stood out as far as in the right stuff as far as his portrayal of Cooper. Colin O'Donoghue, who plays Gordon in this film in the TV version.
Ugh.
Again, yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Sorry, I had to for all of the Once Upon a Time fans out there. Look.
Yeah, he's a little bit more understated than Dennis is with his portrayal of Cooper, and I feel like the Alan Shepard version in the TV in the series on Disney Plus is a lot, feels to me more like the Gordon Cooper in the movie as far as the way Jake McDormand's playing him. So those are just my early thoughts of the show, and of course the other astronauts have their moments too. But again, I think it's a fresh take on a story. It's obviously both the film and the TV show adapted from Tom Wolfe's book. It's a fresh take on it. It's a good take on it, and I'm definitely going to stick with it. I thought it's very enjoyable. If folks are fans of the space program or fans of that era, definitely watch it. Completely recommend it.
Or my age and fans of, I don't know, Once Upon a Time. I think James Lafferty is in the show as
Yeah,
well. One Tree Hill, One True Hill. Pretty Little Liars. You got Patrick Adams.
yeah,
I mean, Suits. And then there's Greek with James McDormand.
yeah.
So I didn't know about this, and then I think last week I stumbled upon the trailer, and because I'm pretty sure I follow like 5 of those people on Twitter, and
Okay.
so they kept blowing up the timeline, and I'm like watching it, I'm like, oh my god, they took all of these actors from these shows where I just feel like the show is me reliving my adolescence.
Well, there you go.
'Cause I'm
Whatever gets you
sitting
hooked.
on at least 2 of them for
Yeah,
sure. I know
yeah.
which 2. But damn. Next thing you know, Chad Michael Murray's gonna pop up and a few
Yeah.
other like Scott Michael Foster. Jeez. Oh man, I just could not get over that. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hey, whatever gets you hooked, and you can learn a little bit of history as well, even though obviously it's dramatization, but still.
Yeah, yeah. Dramatization and how many I mean, we're just obsessed with space, apparently. Obsessed with space.
Yeah.
Um, we do have just to briefly touch on this, we will not be having mini reviews and news like tonight, much longer, just a few more weeks until The Mandalorian returns, and then WandaVision later on in the year.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
You know what? We
yeah.
are so Jesus, Will, we are off our game. You know what I just realized that we have not talked about?
What's that?
That we completely skipped over. We skipped over this crazy idea that Sony and Marvel are going to have not one, but 3 Spider-Mans
You know
in
why?
the third Spider-Man movie.
And you know why I didn't like stop you? Because Sony came out today and said it's unconfirmed. Of course they're going to say that, but also, I mean, of course they're going to say that, but also when I saw that, and I saw it trending over the last couple days, and so it got to the bottom of the source, and it was Andy Signor who was the root of this rumor from
Yeah.
yeah. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, and, his sources, my sources. So I saw that, and I just kind of like, okay, whatever. There's people out there who sometimes they strike gold. Grace Randolph with the Snyder Cut,
Mm-hmm.
and and then there's other people who just like to get clicks. So I put this one in the category getting clicks.
You know, if only you could have stopped me sooner. I so all this week when that rumor has been floating around, I did not realize it came from him.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I've seen some of his videos where he tries to dignify everything that happened and give his version of events.
Mhm.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very similar to that stupid son of a bitch, Blake Jenner, who released his whatever you want to call it, about his relationship with Melissa Benoist, where he
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
acknowledges that there was physical abuse,
Yeah.
but he was abused too.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It's like,
Who
dude.
is your damn PR person and
Yeah.
let you release that? Because you're not working again.
No, actually, his PR person probably resigned when he saw that.
Yeah, probably the same PR person for Andy Signor. But
Yeah.
um, all right then.
Well,
So
I mean, it could very well, that we got it covered, folks. Again, sometimes, you know, sun shines on the, you know, back end of a dog's ass at least every once in a while. So, maybe he got it right. We'll see.
well, now they're talking about 3 movies. I don't know. At this point, I just want Black Widow.
Yeah, exactly,
I just
exactly.
want WandaVision.
I mean,
I just
yeah,
want something, and of course, M- Sony. This honestly, Will, I think if this was just a Sony project, it'd be like, yeah, they're gonna do that and screw it up even worse.
yeah,
Because Sony is all about overpopulation. Marvel knows better.
yeah,
Marvel knows how to just put just enough, just the right amount of stuff in something.
yeah. Because it's
Um,
already, yeah. Because for a film like this, I mean, you already have Benedict Cumberbatch. You already have Jamie Foxx. You clearly have Tom Holland. You don't need any more at this point. You have Zendaya. I mean, it's already pretty loaded. So, and I
and we
just,
already have Into the Spider-Verse,
yes,
which you don't. What is with this idea that, oh, that animated movie did really well? Let's try to do it in real live action.
yeah,
You don't have to do that.
you don't have to. Exactly, exactly. So, yeah, so I did want to talk about it. It's not that it was mainly just to be like, okay, folks, just put on the brakes, just you know, check your sources. Don't I mean, I saw it and I was like, huh. So I did start looking. I'm like, let's see that the Rap or Variety or some legitimate source said it instead of somebody just trying to get clicks and trying to redeem themselves because they're a piece of shit. But it wasn't the case.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we're ending on this sour note. Took us to a dark place. I apologize for that. Was not
No.
and
Well, but I'll end it up on a nice uplifting note. Yes, Mandalorian is coming, and there was a great article if you're into this kind of stuff, up from Variety this week, talking about Pedro Pascal, and also even John Favreau. I think today there was another positive article where they were talking about how they could potentially, could convert Mandalorian into a film because of the way they shoot this particular show. So let's end on a high note that we got something positive to look forward to at the end of this month.
yeah, and they will be dropping Black Widow on
Yep.
streaming platforms, so
Yeah.
that's been all but confirmed.
Yep.
That is
First
it for us and this lost episode. Will, why don't you tell our listeners where they can find you?
You can find me at Will M Polk, WILLMPOLK.
And you can find me at SJ Belmont, SJBELMONT. Please follow our crew on Twitter at CNN Nerd. Friend us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. But most importantly, rate, subscribe, and comment on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. Good night, Geek Out. You're welcome.